Great to have you here. Great that we can now we're all together in this. So, uh, firstly, one of the first matters that you have to take into consideration is, of course, the visa process. As you are probably know of it already, you've probably been in contact with the admissions office, with the visa office at this point, have received some emails about this. So if you do need a visa, of course, you will receive an email to Osiris online application. We also say, please check all the information that it's on our website on Welcome to Utrecht. Over there, we have everything extremely detailed, like every document that you need to submit, in what form you need to submit it. So of course, we couldn't make a super exhaustive list in this webinar, because if not, it would be basically the whole webinar covering how to do the visa residence permit. So one of the things that it's important to mention is, of course, the payment of the invoice before the deadline, as the tuition fee payment is an essential part of the visa application. And I was told, I think the latest, the most updated number for the visa residence permit application is 225 euros. And of course, another thing that you need to do is prepare the documents, all the necessary documents that you need to have: a copy of passport, antecedent certificate, financial means, proof of financial means, etc. All of these documents are explained one by one in Welcome to Utrecht. So if you have any questions, of course, by now I'm pretty sure you're in contact with our admissions office or visa office for this. Another thing that it's very important for Chinese applicants, it's the application to register in NAFIC for a NAFIC certificate. And once you submit all of these digital documents, we will contact you if we need to, if something is missing, or if we need to actually see some hard copies of some of the documents. Once all of this application is ready, we will proceed to approve your digital application and send your file to the IND. Once we receive a confirmation from IND, we will let you know that the visa has been approved, and you will be able to schedule an appointment in the embassy for collection of the biometric data. You need to leave your passport, and then you will get the sticker with your visa. And one of the questions, most typical questions, is how long does it take to process my visa? Officially, it's between 2 and 5 weeks that it takes to process the visa. But of course, it could be that it takes a bit longer because certain the embassies could be closed. So there could be, of course, a bit of a delay in this. But we will be in contact about this. Do you have any tips, or how did you experience your process?
Yeah, so I remember that the university sent me an invoice, and the most important thing, right? And a list of documents that I needed to hand in. So I just prepared those documents and sent them to Utrecht University, and just waited for the result of the visa application. And I would say that a student visa, including the entry visa, is probably one of the easiest visa procedures, because actually the university applies for you. Yeah.
It's kind of an assisted procedure a bit. We're doing it together.
Yes.
And as you know, and I see some people already asking questions in the chat, the deadline for completing the visa procedure, like the payment of the tuition fee, everything, it's June 15th. So that's also a different deadline. And over here we have one last slide about visa. It's basically to sum up a bit the whole procedure. So first thing, first stage is to complete the residence permit application before June 15th, and namely paying the invoice, submitting your digital application in Osiris. After that, will start processing the application, but the IND will start processing your application. Once that is complete, 2 to 5 weeks, could be more, you will be able to visit the Dutch embassy for your entry visa. They will collect your biometric data as a photo, signature. Then you will leave your passport there, and then you can pick up your passport with your MVV sticker. That's the residence permit, the visa. And after arrival, once you're here, you can attend all the different appointments that you have, basically to collect your residence permit card. You need to register with the municipality of where you're going to live. Could be Utrecht, could be Zeist, could be other municipalities. And then you have to do the TB test, tuberculosis test, at the GGD. If you want more specific information about this whole procedure, once again, please check on Welcome to Utrecht. All of these slides were made on the information, of course, just parts of the information that are on the website. So over there you have like the complete list of everything. Do you want to add something, Amy, to this, or is everything?
Yeah, I think that's quite clear. Yeah, for visa.
Yeah, that's basically like the biggest like administrative task you have right now. And you might feel a bit stressed about this because of course you're far away, and then on top of this, the whole situation is like even worse. So I think big congratulations to everyone that is going through this, and this is even harder than any other situation. So we commend you for your effort in this. So we're all in this together. It's a cliche, but honestly, everyone is going through this. So yeah, I had made a beautiful video about it, but now I see that I cannot show you the video, but it's basically just all the information. Welcome to Utrecht. So we're going to continue with this. I like to call it the quote unquote boring part, which is all these administrative things that we have to cover. Another thing that we have to talk about, of course, is health insurance. And health insurance, it's part of your, when you do your visa application, you're gonna cover that. So one important thing is you need to carry, of course, proof of your health insurance when you're in the Netherlands. We do recommend a health insurance with a company that we work for. The university collaborates with this AON. You can, of course, keep your own health insurance, your own private health insurance, but you have to make sure that it covers the same basis as the Dutch standard would say, the Dutch requirements. If not, then it's not going to be enough for your coverage. It has to cover the entire stay of the Netherlands. So that's why we recommend, we know that the AON Complete Plus does cover all of the requirements. So that's why we recommend it. Another small thing that gets sometimes forgotten when all of this is happening is that if you take up a job while studying, then you need to switch your health insurance to a Dutch health insurance. So that's one of the things that it's something that comes to your own responsibility, and sometimes a lot of students are not aware of this, but just like, and I know your priorities right now is somewhere else, but just remember this. And once again, everything's on the website. Do you have any tips about health insurance, Amy?
Yes. So I also had AON Complete Plus when I was a student in Utrecht University, and in my opinion, it is quite a company with good service, because you can access to their website and it's all in English. And also they also offer insurance for your orientation year visa. So once you have your profile there, it's also very convenient if you want to apply for your orientation year and you still need an insurance for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit like quote unquote easier for non-EU students because you have to face this decision of health insurance before. Basically, when you're doing your visa process, so it's a bit. I think it's better in that sense. If you're an EU student, for example, you kind of a lot of them forget about this or not properly covered, and then it's quite messy if you know they fall off a bike or something, you know, which will never happen to you, by the way. You'll be great. But just it's good to know that it's good to do this with time. So this is one of the other questions that we always have, like, is it possible to work while you're studying? And in the case of non-EU students, you do need a work permit. And this work permit, it's not something that you do. It's something that your employer has to do for you. So it's a procedure that it takes, a couple of weeks. It could be 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks that it takes until it's. Sometimes it goes very easy. Sometimes it takes a bit more time. It's pretty hard to tell. You can work 16 hours per week, or 3 months full time during the summer. Of course, I think with the situation right now, it's not possible to do this. So I guess 16 hours per week, that will be the number that you can take in consideration if later on you would like to take up a part-time job. Do you have any tips about this, Amy? How was your experience?
Well, I didn't do any part-time job during my study because I was putting more energy and time on my study because that was the first time I studied in English. So I would recommend students who come from abroad, outside EU or outside the Netherlands, maybe don't push yourself too hard at the beginning. Prepare a bit more money than you need or than you expect, and maybe find your job later in your study stage. Because at the beginning, you need to have like social life with your fellow students to know where the library is, where I can find some resources. It is possible for me to do an internship, something like that. I think is more valuable to do part-time job that you earn like 10 or 20 euros per hour. And remember, the younger you are, the less you get in the Netherlands. So you should take that into consideration. That's my tip.
That's a great tip. That's a great tip because I experienced the same thing. I missed out on a lot of my social social aspect of studying abroad. Mainly because these are programs that last 1 year, right? So it's pretty heavy, the workload, until the first month you get acquainted to it. So definitely, I agree with you regarding the tips. Do you like the little color I put in order to celebrate this?
Definitely. Super cute.
Thank you. Okay, one last thing.
By the way.
You like it too?
I love it.
We're trying to
hand it over to you
now. The festive part, of this during this time. So one last thing about financial matters: once you have confirmed your places program, you will receive the invoice with tuition fee and visa residence permit. That's why sometimes students would ask us, "Well, I didn't get it. I didn't get my invoice," and it's because you haven't accepted the place. There's a little asterisk when it comes to students with scholarships, because the process is a bit more, it's not more complicated, but there's more parties to be involved, right? That you need to send this, could be to your scholarship provider. So all of this procedure is described at Welcome to Utrecht.
I would like to add before we continue about this is any exchange students in the audience here, but if they are, of course, the procedure is a little bit different for you because you don't pay tuition fee because you're technically still enrolled at your home university. So don't all of a sudden feel like, oh my God, I have a tuition fee, or what is happening here? This is the procedure for full degree students. So for exchange students, this is different.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. And now we're going to go from administration to another great topic, that is housing. I think a lot of students are always a bit scared of this word. It means, if you're scared of this word, it means that we communicated good. Because if you're just looking at this slide and say like, moi, I don't know, then we have done something wrong. Then we haven't put a lot of importance to it. So what is happening when it comes to housing? Traditionally, it's very difficult to get a housing. I wouldn't say in Utrecht, I would say it's the Netherlands, any big student city. I think in other parts of Europe, it's similar. So the good thing is that, of course, like 20% of Utrecht's population are students, but that means that each year more and more international students are arriving to the Netherlands, arriving to Utrecht, and of course they also need housing. And by the way, this lack of housing is not only applied to internationals, but this is a huge burden also on national students. So on Dutch students also struggle to get a house. It's not just the internationals are struggling. So there's a lot of competition in that sense, because everybody's looking for a housing. So that's why the housing market is a bit tough. It takes more time than you think. So we have a lot of information on our website about housing, a lot of information. So again, if we did a whole webinar about this. We have a lot of tips about this. We'll go through it in the next slides. So one of the things that it's important to mention is that Dutch universities don't own a housing. So what they do is they have agreements with other housing corporations, and they're the ones that provide certain amount of rooms each year. So that's why it's a bit of a different situation where the university stands in this. Like, we try to provide as much as information and support that we can, but it's ultimately up to the student to get their own housing. One of the things we say, of course, research the important information in our website, especially about all the tips that we give before you start looking. How do you look? There's a lot of tips about preventing scams and because in every market that there's a lot of demand, there's always going to be like ads that are not particularly 100% trustworthy. So we want to avoid that situation and just give you information how to spot these. We also say to apply for the SSH regular accommodation, the reserved one and the regular one. I think we have the reserved accommodation program. There's a new date for it. It's going to open on the 9th of June at 9 a.m. It's the European Central Time. Central Standard Time. So that's good to know that it's what's in a week or something. It's a bit. We're in June, guys. Almost. So another thing that we say is, of course, broaden your search. Look outside Utrecht. Utrecht is a city, it's a province, and I don't know I would like to ask, is everyone ever come to the Netherlands? Everyone will always ask this, because this gives you a sense of how big the country is, and how do you know how it works in that sense, because you could have a lot of different little towns that you don't know, that you feel it's very far away, but actually it's not. And usually just also another thing that we say is just use multiple search methods, not only for SSH, just look for other types of accommodation, or other types of services. We always say to arrive before the semester start, but of course that's not going to be possible this year. So just be very active online. That's sometimes students get a lot of interviews also through Skype, for example. So that's possible. So this is, I think, one of the most important maps that you will see regarding housing. So you see there that the big circle is Utrecht, and there's this cycling time estimates, because that's usually how you basically commute from your house to your to school. Is going to be through biking. So I always say just Google it and put like the biking time. And for international students, just like add like maybe 5 or 10 minutes extra, because we're not as fast as Google likes us to be. Dutch people are faster, or at the time that Google says, but we're internationals, we're not that fast. Especially the small ones. I'm very small, so it's hard for me to bike. So we have cities like, oh, what happened to the slides? It's okay, we can go back. Are we here? So we have the build, we have size, also very, size is very popular for students. Bunnik, all of these cities are quite nice. Just, I mean, as a first accommodation, I think it's pretty okay, and maybe you will have more chances. So this is if you have never been to Utrecht or you don't know how big it is. So this is basically sizing it up, Beijing versus Utrecht. So basically, that little thing, that's Utrecht. So as you can see, there's quite a difference in size. I always think which is quite funny to see how big it is. I don't know. It's. Do you have any tips, Amy, about housing that you'd like to say?
Yeah, so I'm happy that you mentioned the the registration open date and time. Actually, I missed the time for housing reservation, so I didn't reserve any accommodation on the first day. But my tip is that you can check the website, because I check the website quite often to see if there were anyone who didn't pay their reservation fee. So remember to pay your reservation fee to reserve your spot. Yeah, and I saw someone gave up their reservation. So luckily, I got a studio located on the UCU campus that owned by SSH. Yeah. So don't give up. If you don't reserve anything on the first day, you can still check the website afterwards.
Definitely. That's one of the things that we all, like most internationals, get the room of, is basically just building their network once they're here, talking to their classmates. And now it could be, through a WhatsApp group or through a Facebook group or something like that. So that's possible. We also have Weibo and WeChat that you can also talk with other students and see what situation they're in. This is a slide just to show you how it looks like other providers like Huur, Woningen, Utrecht, Kamernet. These are kind of like providers that it's also used for getting a room. These are all of the other companies that the university has known that students get their house from. I think it's important to know that there's support from the university. If you have any sort of if you're having doubts about a certain provider or something like that, just you can contact the student services at uu.nl, and they can help you with that. So they can give you like yes, this is okay, or this is not okay, please check this. So there's a lot of options, but the thing is that you have to do it with time. You don't have to we always say, like, don't put all your eggs in the same basket, just like spread the risk, right? Spread the risk in different methods. So this is what we talked about, where you can find the information if you just Google or if you just search for uu.nl/housing, you will get there. Tips and tricks. So this is like one of the most used tips and tricks. Start looking as soon as possible. Use your network. Check other websites. Another thing that it's good to know is that you can look for temporary housing. It's very common for students to move around once they're here. So if you cannot secure yourself a contract for a year, 6 months, it's possible, at least until you can get here and and be able to, I don't know, adapt to everything. Of course, all of these tips and tricks are, again, they're a bit, we don't know how the situation will develop, right? Like we're talking about hospiteren, for example, which is students welcoming other students to their house, kind of like having an informal interview with them to see if they would click, right? So if it would look, if I know you feel comfortable with that person living there. At the moment, I don't think that's possible, or at least there will be like certain like considerations taken into account. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep everything, like we'll keep you updated on how this develops, and if you have any questions, you can always reach us. But I think one of the things is don't be too picky, get moving, right? Like don't get like super stuck with it, just talk to other students. And it's good to know that other people are in the same situation, and they help each other this way. And check SSH if it's fully booked. We say register anyway for the regular, but I would say for the regular one, the problem with SSH regular is that it's kind of they take into consideration the amount of time you've been in the system, so it's based on antiquity. So if you're here for a year, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you're here for a PhD or for your bachelor's, it's good to register and then see, like maybe on the second year you can get something. Do you have anything to add, Amy, about housing, perhaps?
Well, I think for international students, it's also good to know that don't transfer a lot of money or like a big amount of money before you come to Utrecht, because I know sometimes people are very desperate. So when a landlord said that, oh yeah, sure, you can have this studio for 600 euros located in the city center, just transfer your money, like 2 months deposit first to me, and then you can get your key when you arrive. Unfortunately, that's just a scam. Yeah, so if you are looking for a place on Facebook, on some websites, just always remind yourself there are some scams there.
Yeah, we always say if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not true.
It's not true.
It's not true. A city center is very difficult to live in Utrecht, so just be mindful of that. And if you have questions, if you're doubting, like, what is this? Just contact the university, please. So let's hope you can all travel to the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I hope so. So the following slides are going to focus on how you get to Utrecht after you arrive at Schiphol. Okay, when should I start making travel arrangements? I would say that book your flight tickets after you receive your visa. Right, Laura? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the recommendation we give, because of course then you get up on top of everything. You need to on top of that you need to like cancel your booking or something, so it's not recommended.
Yeah, so if you really want to book your flight first, then maybe book the one with like flexible like plan, so you can change your schedule if you don't get your visa on time, or if you don't get your visa like before you take the flight. Yeah. Okay. So, as you may know, Utrecht is located in the central part of the Netherlands. Hence, it's quite easy to travel from Schiphol to Utrecht. It takes around 40 minutes to come to Utrecht from Schiphol by car. I would recommend that you take Uber if you arrive at the airport with lots of suitcases, because you don't want to, you want to carry all the things you need for 1 year at once. Yeah. So, or if you take the plan with your fellow students who are willing to split the bill of Uber or taxi, then I would recommend that. But check how much it would be on your phone first. For Uber, you can always check in advance, but for taxi, please keep in mind it's quite pricey. It's quite expensive to take a taxi in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, because it's not very common. So everybody just like takes their bike or they take the train. So taxis are pretty expensive.
Yeah, but I think it's good if you have, like too many suitcases. You may want to carry all the things around.
Definitely.
Yeah, and as you can see on the slide, the other option is to take a train. It takes around 30 minutes to come to the Utrecht Central Station from Schiphol. So once you pick up your suitcase, you come to the lobby at the airport. The train station is just under where you stand. So you can buy your tickets from the yellow machines you see on the slide with cash at the airport. And please just remember to scan your ticket before you take the escalator to go down to the platform underground. So that leads me to the next slide. Okay. Yeah, so a card that you must have when you live in the Netherlands, it's OV-chip card, right, Laura?
Yes, so every type of transportation, the good thing is that all types of transportation in the Netherlands will be covered by that card.
So even you travel to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, you don't need to have a special card for that city. So that's a good thing. So at the screen, you can see the blue cards, which are anonymous OV-chip card. You can buy it from a machine in a central station or like big train stations. And you can top up some credits in it, so you don't need to buy a single ticket every time you take train or you take a bus. And you can see here we have 2 yellow cards that are with cows and trees, which are personal OV-chip cards. So you can only order your personal card on the NA's website, which is National Railway in the Netherlands, with your Dutch bank account. So with a personal card, you can subscribe to some plans. Like, I think the most popular one is travel with a 40% discount outside the rush hour, right? Laura, do you have that one?
Well, I don't really use that much, to be honest, the train anymore. We just use the bike. But that's indeed, that's one of the most common subscriptions. So it's a subscription that you can have. But yes, as you mentioned, we need to have a Dutch bank account in order to deduct the money from it. So that's one of the different things about the yellow card, personal one, and the anonymous one.
Yeah, so I think that subscription is quite handy if you want to discover other cities on weekends, or if you just want to, like hop on the train and go to Amsterdam for a party during the nighttime. So I would like to add one app that you also must have on your phone in the Netherlands, which is 9292. It is an app that you can check the timetable of trains and buses and also prices of tickets. And in addition, you can also plan your trip with that app, right, Laura?
Yes, it's way more accurate than Google Maps at this point. It's way better. Like, I think it's a must app for students here.
Yeah. So turning our attention to the next slides. These are
important, very important.
Yes, so there are two types of trains you'll see a lot in the Netherlands. The upper one is called intercity, which means it runs among big cities like from Utrecht to Rotterdam. And the bottom one is called sprinter, but it's actually slower because it stops at almost every station, right?
But they also stop at big cities, so that's the catch.
True.
So you could have two trains going to Utrecht, and one is intercity and the other was sprinter, but one will take you 30 minutes and there will be like 50 minutes and you're like, what's going on? What's happening? Why am I not there?
Yes, I remember that it took me almost an hour to come back to Utrecht from Schiphol by sprinter.
Oh.
In fact, you can save 50% of your time if you take intercity. Yeah, that's just
when you're running for the train, you don't see where you're at. A lot of people told me Dutch people were like, oh, did you notice there were two stories? And like, no, I did not notice, I just ran. But sure, point taken. So intercities usually have 2 floors, so that would be like oh, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, but not always, right? But sprinter,
you never know. Sometimes you just go in,
Yeah.
You just go in.
Yeah, but that's probably one of the biggest takeaway that we have for our
I know. That's
admitted
thank you.
students
Yes.
today. Yeah.
That's a big takeaway, people. It's a big takeaway.
So let's now go on to the urban arrival part. So registration is one of the most important things that you need to do after your arrival, because you need to get your BSN number. Why it is important, Laura?
It is very important because, of course, I think it's more important for non-EU students than for EU students. I think it's part of your residence permit card. You need to register somewhere, So that's a very important word, gemeente. That's one of the first Dutch words that you will learn. And of course, you will not always have to register at the Municipality of Utrecht. You have to first check where you're living if it will be covered by the Municipality of Utrecht. The important thing about registering there is that you will receive a BSN number, and that's a personal number that you will have. It's personal for everyone. And it's kind of like you start I always say, start existing in the Netherlands as a person here.
True,
basically, and you have that number. You need to make an appointment, bring your passport, rental contract, all of this. I haven't still heard anything about this, how it will change or not, how is registration being handled at the moment. But we will make sure to tell you if something changes regarding this.
Yeah, so like Laura mentioned, it's the timing. It's the time you become a person in the Netherlands.
It is.
Seriously.
It is.
Yeah, because you need that number to open your Dutch bank account. And with a Dutch bank account, you can buy your personal OV chip card.
Hey, that's good.
All linked together. Yeah, so with a BS number, you can also apply for DGD and handle a lot of things with the government online, including applying for your orientation year visa, which I think is quite important for people outside EU who wants to start their career after their graduation. Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you find a place in Utrecht that covered by the Municipality of Utrecht, congratulations, because we have a special desk for international students. You will become like our VIP. That you don't need to do anything. But if you live somewhere else, sorry, we cannot have that kind of special VIP service for you. Yeah. So you will need to go to other municipalities if you live in other cities.
Yeah,
So
of course,
yeah,
this is different in each municipality. Some of them are a bit more, international friendly, stuff like that. Usually big cities are a bit like that.
yeah,
But it's good to know that it's the white building next to the station. You don't really see it. Actually, you can just walk from the station to the municipality building. So sometimes you're there and you're like, where is it? I see that it's on my map, it's here, but you don't see it. It's just like in front of you, but you don't see the structure. So good to know that.
yeah. So on the slide, you can see a question. Can I register with the friend? Laura, should we leave it later?
I think it's a good question for later.
Yeah.
See if we have, maybe that's one of the few questions I always get about this. Sometimes if they cannot get if a student doesn't have a house, or maybe they have it like a couple of weeks later, like what should I do? Should I register with a friend or something like that? So we'll leave that for the questions.
We can talk about more later.
Yeah.
Yes. So next we'll talk about money. A cruel fact for you: most of your credit cards, including Mastercard, Visa, Inland Card, and American Express, will not be accepted in your daily life in Utrecht.
No.
They may be accepted in, like touristic spots, especially in Amsterdam, in the city center. Some restaurants, some super pricey restaurants, they charge you like 100 euros for a meal. Then they would accept your credit card and your whatever. But sorry, based on my experience, you need to open a bank account in the Netherlands as soon as possible, because you need to have the we call Master or Visa Pay. So there are several banks that you can choose from to open your Dutch bank account.
Yeah.
So with a Dutch bank account, it will make your life easier in the Netherlands.
Yeah, we say you don't have to, but it makes things a bit easier. That's kind of like the thing. Another thing is that, of course, with the whole COVID situation, that a lot of things will start. I think it will be pushed into contactless payment. So one of the things that we kind of talked about last year when we went to China, actually for the pre-departure, was the other way around, because in China everything is with your phone, right? You just tap it here and there.
Yeah, pay.
But over here it's a bit like you have to take a step back. In technology, you actually need your card, so one of the things that's a bit different, that's a different message that we have for Chinese students. Actually, you need a wallet here. You need a wallet to have all these cards with you. There's slowly some banks, they're starting to get their
on
apps
the phone. Yeah,
on the phone, but it's a slow process.
Yeah, and also if you think that, okay, how about I pay everything in cash? Unfortunately, not. No. Some shops and stores maybe with some security issues or like some trust issues, they only accept PIN, which is MasterCard. You get when you have a Dutch bank account. So I would recommend that you open a Dutch bank account if you want to get your part-time job here, or you want to search for a job after your graduation. You don't want to say that, oh, could you transfer your money to my Chinese bank account? That would be, like just do something that's easier for yourself and for other people.
Yeah, it will be easier. So that sign there, if we go back to the other slide, here alleen PIN, and that's the sign that you will see everywhere. So that means PIN, as you said, is just like using your card, tap your card. So that's a cue for you to say, okay, here, no cash.
Yeah, and also because due to COVID-19, people don't want to like physical contact
No.
with your
Yeah.
hands. So that's also one of the reasons why they nowadays they accept cards more.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have ABN, Rabobank, and ING. So usually you need to pay a monthly fee to maintain your bank account, which I found really weird when I arrived here.
Oh, it's different. Okay.
I don't know what's the situation in China, but um, I don't know. I never paid anything for my bank. But
Yeah,
here
here you
it's really
pay
common.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's usually not a lot. It's like 140, maybe 150 a month, something like that, just to keep a student account.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course, there's other banks, right? That this is just like the main big three banks that we know of, and usually just work with a lot of international students. So
Yeah.
perhaps their apps are in English, perhaps their website are in English. So that's usually, at least for me. I mean, I'm an international. I'm still. I consider myself like a bit like an international student, some sort. And if a website is in English, for me, that's a good sign for me always.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move on to orientation days for international students. So normally we hold these events for students to know more about the campus, since most of the international students don't have opportunities to visit us on open days. So that was actually the first time I went to the campus because I didn't visit the campus on open days or before I applied for university. I think that's quite common for international students.
Yeah. So of course now with the COVID situation, it is not possible to host this orientation days as we would have liked. We would have liked to be there. Maybe we would have a barbecue together, and then you would meet all other international students. But I know they're working on some alternatives, some online alternatives that will provide you with hopefully the same amount of information and the same amount of contact, moments of networking with your colleague students.
Yeah, so I remember there were many activities, stands, and seminars for me to know the student organization, Dutch culture, and met a lot other students. But as you said, that we are not sure how it will be this year due to COVID-19. Yeah, so that's the
We will announce it. Yeah.
Yes. So if you want to find more practical matters, Laura has already mentioned this super cool web page that you can find almost everything because we collect and organize information into, like different categories that we think you may want to know before your arrival. So let us know if there is anything you want to know but you can't find there.
Please let us know.
Yeah,
Please let us know.
we'll add that information on the website in the future to ensure that students can find everything they need to know there. That's our
Indeed.
goal.
That's our goal.
Yeah. And once you decide to come to Utrecht, you can anticipate having Dutch experience by buying your first bike. Exciting. Another timing you feel like you live in the Netherlands. Like a person, as a person.
Yeah. A person, yeah.
So there are several options. You can buy a new one or a second-hand bike in a store that is nearby where you live so that you can go there to have your bike fixed. Or get a second-hand one online. Since Utrecht is a student city, you can easily find one on Facebook and Marketplace.
Yeah.
But be aware of fraud, scams, stolen bikes. So that's why I said that, or maybe buy a bike from a store, because if you buy a bike with a receipt, sometimes it's better that you can prove that is your bike.
Yeah, we always say like a good honest bike will cost around 90 euros or something like
Yeah.
that. We don't recommend getting a new bike because but there's a lot of demand, and if you leave it outside and you don't lock it properly, it's gonna be gone. So the Netherlands is a very safe country, by the way, but not for bicycles. So it's good to know
Not for
this.
bicycles. Yeah.
No.
So luckily now there's one more option, renting a bike. So then you don't need to worry about how you're gonna to do when your bike is broken, stolen, or need to be fixed. Since those bikes like swap fields, it like they all have blue wheels, like blue front wheels. So that would protect the bike from stealing, right? Being stolen.
You can, exactly. So that's a good option, but then you have to balance out the cost of payment each month versus just getting a bike and then just paying it once.
Yeah.
So that really depends on your budget.
Yeah, but if you only stay here for 1 year, or you just plan to have a bike for the first few months, that's also a good option. And there are several release companies recently, like nowadays. So maybe you can get a good student discount. Who knows?
Definitely. Should we start talking about student life? Perhaps that's interesting.
Let's turn to the last part.
I'm barging in for a little bit just to tell you that we're already in an hour now. So I would recommend doing the student life part a bit quicker to allow some time for Ken to speak for a bit, our Chinese student, and also to allow some time for questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Thank you, Arlinda.
Keeping us in place.
Yeah.
Okay, let's cover student life. So one of the things that it's quite important for us also to mention is well-being and development. There's a whole website dedicated to that. Of course, we're gonna move into a more online content in that respect, kind of a balanced work-life situation, how to improve your study, meditation lab, guidance and advice. So if you're having problems, could be either personal problems or problems when you are trying to study and you're not really finding the way to do it. It's good to know that there's support from the university in this. Regarding sports, and you want to say something, Amy, about this?
Yeah, that's my favorite part. Exercise. So there are lots of gyms that offer student discounts around the city because it's a student city, so it quite makes sense. I personally like Olympus because that is located in our campus in Althoff. You pay 140 euros per year for a lot of classes and also the gym. So yeah, that's what I did in the past.
There's a lot of options, and once again, we're going to see how this develops and see how is it possible to join classes or do it online. We're going to see how this. We'll see how it goes. The same goes for the cultural aspects. You see different types of activities like singing, dancing, theater that you would do at Parnassus. That's also a cultural center from the university that it's located more towards the city center. Parnassus is more located it's located in the science park. So that's good to know, just a bit of to know where things are, basically. You can see a lot of information, of course, on the website. There's a lot of discounts for students, and you can find all the information there. Once again, I think they're going to move a lot of their activities online so that you can join from home in a safe way. Also, this is also this usual question, like, do I need to learn Dutch? How can I learn Dutch? Like, can I learn Dutch?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I needed that. There's a lot of ways of learning Dutch. It's not strictly necessary. It's not really necessary, unless I always say if you would like to stay in the Netherlands later, for your search year, for example, or you want to, make your life here. You're sure that you will work here or something like that, then it makes sense to invest your time in learning Dutch. But for other reasons, everybody speaks very good English here, and you can do it for fun, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, like I spent more time and energy on my study and didn't focus on learning Dutch. Since almost everyone speaks English in a class and on the street, I only learned some basic words and greetings from supermarkets. That's where I get my Dutch vocabulary.
Definitely here, yeah, definitely.
To survive.
The things that you need to do to survive.
Yeah.
So this is also another interesting slide we have for useful shops. These are the usual shops that you will find here in the Netherlands, are the most common ones. I think the big supermarkets, the Aldi, Lidl, the ones in the middle are supermarkets. The one on the left, Blokker and IKEA, of course, just for furniture and stuff and appliances. Ethos is sort of like not a pharmacy, but it just like sells like shampoo and stuff. And then on the right side, Action, Hema, and Kruidvat, they're like everything. Everything you didn't know you needed and you didn't know they sold, it's there, basically.
Just don't go there without a shopping list. Like
Very
IKEA,
important.
right?
If not, then you start like collecting stuff and you're like, what am I doing? But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the best way to study abroad on a budget is to live like a local. You can still get something you miss back home in Asian supermarkets, but keep in mind that they are more pricey than they are sold in our hometown. Yeah,
that's true. So this is basically a bit of the food experience. Yeah.
Nah, you will experience it anyway.
We'll leave it like as a surprise. This is what you can expect, and please try it and tell us what you think of this.
In the market, in the open air markets, you can try everything there.
Everything.
Fresh, made, warm.
So of course, bread is also a very important part of the pyramid. The Dutch food, a lot of bread.
Just like a rice to Chinese people and bread to Dutch people.
Yeah. So this is also another nice slide about Dutch culture. But I think what would be nice if maybe if you agree, we can leave it like if people have questions about certain aspects of Dutch culture, we can cover it in the questions.
Yeah. Or we'll just leave it for you to discover when you arrive.
Now we were talking about it, like we have the 3 kisses in the Netherlands, and you kiss 3 times, but good, like now because of COVID, you don't have to. So you
good
just
for you.
Wave.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Yeah, good to know.
And perhaps do you want to give the floor to our current alum, our current student? Sorry.
Yeah, I think we have our like current student Chen here. Are you here, Chen?
Hey, you can hear me.
Hi. Could you talk about your experience in studying at Utrecht University so far?
Okay. Well, because my internet seems not stable, so I will just keep my camera closed.
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think the webinar is already really informative, so I just have the first one is you can open the bank account in ING before your registration, and then after that you can input your.
We're losing you a little bit.
Hi. Huh?
Are you there, Chen? Yeah, well, guys, the internet happens. So
COVID-19, 5G. Okay.
It's the 5G thing. Yeah,
so I can complete her sentence. So if you go to the ING Bank in the city center, then you don't need to have a BS number when you open a bank account. You can give them afterwards. So I think that was also I did. They didn't, because there are so many students in Utrecht, so they are not so strict to those rules, because they know you are students, and then with your unconditional offer or admission later, then they would approve your account.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the last things that we can cover, it's just the checklist, just a very quick checklist of everything that you need to do. Confirm your place, pay your tuition fee on time. So basically just do all the administration part. Once again, everything is a bit different this year. We don't know a lot, but the good thing is that we're gonna be in contact with each other and just keep you updated on everything regarding the orientation days. All about this. If Jen would like to say something,
yeah, we can give her the floor to say something.
I'm
Hi.
back.
Hi, welcome back.
Where was I?
in the internet somewhere floating.
So shall I start from the beginning, or?
I just completed your sentence of the bank part, so you can
Okay.
you can move on to the next part you want to share.
Yeah. Okay. So the second tip. I have to finish it quickly. So the second tip is that the locations of immigrant department and the municipalities department are different. So you'd better to search for them first. Otherwise, maybe you will lost your way. And also, you will do the TB test in the same building of the municipality building and department. Sorry. And the third thing is that actually there are two Chinese public accounts in WeChat. They are I have to say in Chinese. 荷兰乌特勒支大学和乌特学联 and I can text on the chat box later. And there are two resources of the similar information, but all in Chinese. So in the official account, which is Utrecht University, you can find an article which was published last year in June. It seems in June, and you can see the video which is also about the similar information. And another account you can find when you open the homepage, you can find the block on the bottom. On the right hand, you can see the U brochure, which is U 手册. So when you press it, you can see all the contents, including before you arrive and after you arrive and the student life. Yeah, that's what I want to add.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So now it is our Q&A time. So
sorry, Arlene. Now we were a bit more time than we thought.
But I think
okay. I see most people are still here, so I think everyone is still listening. So that's great. That's thank you for bearing with us. What we wanted to do now for this last part is open it up for you guys to ask some questions. So if you type a question in the chat box, then I can mark it as a question, so it will pop up here on the screen, and then Laura and Amy can answer it. So I don't see any questions coming in at this moment. So that probably means that everything was super clear. So thank you for this awesome presentation. So I'm just waiting to see if there are some questions that are coming in.
Yeah, but I think I noticed that most of the questions in the chat have already been answered, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
By
So during the
awesome
webinar, they were also
colleagues.
answered by our awesome colleagues. Yeah, so thank you for that. There's a lot of people working behind the screens here, answering your questions from both our
like
team, the
here.
marketing team, behind Amy. Actually, there's a wall in there. Your questions have been asked during the webinar, they're already answered, but maybe you have a question popping up based on the presentation that you just watched, or maybe everything is super clear.
Yeah,
that's also fine.
I can add one point. Because if you are in China now, you can check our Weibo or WeChat. And once you arrive the Netherlands, you can check our Facebook page and Instagram. I know Laura works a lot on Instagram, and we put a lot of information, including activities like Wellbeing Week. Some information you may want to know on those social media channels. So just follow us.
Follow us.
Yeah, there is one very specific question about deferring and about payment, but I'm gonna leave that up to someone from the admissions office that is in the chat, because I don't think that we know the answer to that.
We don't.
We don't. Yeah, but how many of you consider to defer your offer to the next year, or how many of you have already asked
Was
the
that
faculty?
question? Was that was a first question, right?
Yeah, that was in the question, and I can see 39% is planning on coming to Utrecht. 26% says I'm planning to start online and continuing offline, and those are the two main answers. And about 15% said that they don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still May.
So maybe this is a question from Leon that is just coming in.
Mm-hmm. More information about the education forms, about the first and second block. Yeah, honestly, it's very difficult to know in advance.
We need a crystal ball, right?
Basically we do. But basically, the message that we have right now is that we will start online if you cannot join us, and then you can join us later. As you know, the university is just following the recommendations of the Dutch government at this point. So, of course, if the Dutch government says that, hey, it's not possible to be there physically be on class, then of course we cannot assure that. So, this is something that we have to check as we go. I don't know if you have something else to add, Arlinda, but I think that's mainly it.
No, yeah, that's honestly all we can say at this point.
Yeah,
but we do update the website pretty often. Let me tell you. So it's good to know that, like, keep an eye on the Q&A on Corona updates. I think it's called something like that.
Yeah, Corona updates.
Yeah, so just check that we kept all the information. As soon as we know something is definitive, we will put it there.
Yeah, because I think, like, in my opinion, I really want to see, like, all of you to arrive Utrecht and start your new life, new chapter of your life abroad. But unfortunately, we still need to follow the instruction of the Dutch government. If I can decide, I would say, okay, you can all come here on the campus tomorrow, right, Laura?
Yes, it's been lonely 2 months here from home. Getting used to this.
I need to talk to people.
I need to talk to people. Yeah. But yeah, do we have any? I don't think any other questions.
No, I don't think there are any questions. So I think that just means that you did an awesome presentation and everything was super clear. So since we are already a bit over time, I'm gonna suggest that we leave it at this. Of course, if you have any final questions for us, you can always email us. The email address where you received the link to join this invitation. You can just reply to that, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. If you have a specific admissions-related question, you can email the admissions office at admissionsoffice@uu.nl. I see a lot of people saying thank you, so I think we did something good here. You're welcome. It was nice to do this for you. It was a bit weird from time to time, but I think we made it work in the end.
Yes. Yeah. We hope to see you again at Utrecht University this fall, hopefully.
Hopefully, yes. At least this is, once again, we're just offering this channel just to know that sometimes we're just as lost as you on some occasions, because we're just seeing how everything is evolving. So it's good to know that we're all in this together. I mean, we're all affected by this. So I wish you the best. Everything that you decide, if it's deferring, if it's coming, if it's joining online, best of luck for everything, and we're here for you, and we'll hopefully see you.
Yeah, have a good evening and take care.
Yeah, and of course this webinar was recorded, and you will receive the link to the recording by the end of the week. So if you didn't catch the whole webinar or you missed anything, you want to watch it back, you can watch it again. You can, because we will send the recording to you.
Yeah, if you were lost in our laughters.
That could be.
Yeah, you can watch the video later this week.
Exactly.
Yes. To recap.
Then I think I'm gonna close off this webinar. Thank you all for watching, and we hope to see you soon, and we'll definitely keep you updated about any news in the university. And yeah, thanks. Have a good day.
Have a good evening. Bye.